Previous research highlights how refugees and asylum seekers are commonly blamed for a series of issues in the UK relating to crime, lack of housing, and the misspending of taxpayers' money. Since 2021, the UK public has witnessed emerging wars and refugees fleeing from Afghanistan and Ukraine, as well as new UK legislation such as the Nationality and Borders Bill. But have such events changed the way that the media represents refugees and asylum seekers? I've analysed 553 articles from the UK's top 2 online news sources, BBC and The Sun, to find out. Findings will be compared alongside research from previous studies to address 5 main issues surrounding asylum and refuge in the UK. Number 1. Are too many people coming to the UK? In 2016, Britain voted to leave the EU. 73% of Leave voters reported concern over immigration. Around this time, unprecedented numbers of refugees fled to Europe from war-torn countries such as Syria. Back in 2003, a survey suggested that 90% of respondents viewed asylum seekers as a problem in the UK. The media still presents this as an issue, with 27.5% of analysed news articles from 2021 to 2022 negatively reporting numbers of people crossing the Channel. Are too many people seeking asylum and refuge in the UK? And how does the UK's intake of asylum seekers compare with other European countries? In 2021, the UK had the 4th highest number of asylum applications in Europe, behind Germany, France and Spain, totalling 56,500. This may seem high, however, the UK only has the 18th highest amount of asylum seekers according to population size. The UK, which has a population of 67 million, accepted 13,000 asylum applications in 2021. The UK has 8.4 asylum seekers per 10,000 citizens, significantly less than Cyprus, who had the most, 152.6 per 10k. Number 2. Cost. Media analysis results showed that 14.6% of analysed BBC and Sun articles related to cost and burden to the taxpayer. The government reports the asylum programme's annual costs as £1.5 billion. This includes a daily spend of £4.7 million on hotels to house asylum seekers. However, asylum seekers are expected to live on just over £40 per week. If living in a hotel which provides food, this is reduced to £8 per week. Could you live off that much? Many ask, why don't asylum seekers find a job? Asylum seekers are not allowed to work whilst their applications are being processed. This can take up to 1 year. Once applications have been accepted and refugee status obtained, one can legally find a job. In 2018, the UN Refugee Agency found that 82% of refugees in the UK were employed. This settles myths from previous studies which implied that refugees were portrayed as scroungers. Nevertheless, the government still wants to reduce costs. One method of doing so is the Nationality and Borders Bill, which sees refugees and asylum seekers detained, criminalised and sent to overseas processing centres in places like Rwanda. This bill has been heavily criticised by human rights organisations and charities, one of which, together with refugees, estimates the cost of enforcing it at £2.7 billion. This seems costly for a plan which originally intended to save money, but it's just an estimate. As this legislation has only recently been enforced, we don't actually know its cost yet. Back to the media analysis. 15% of analysed articles discussed sending asylum seekers and refugees to Rwanda, and 6% mentioned use or proposed use of detention camps. Number 3. Crime and safety concerns. In 2015, 1.3 million Syrian refugees arrived in Europe. Media analysis studies from 2015 to 2016 show that the British media presented refugees as both welcome to the UK whilst simultaneously creating panic and fear over terror threats and sexual abuse. Gender had an impact on how refugees were represented. Women were portrayed as oppressed mothers and carers, whilst men were labelled loners, criminals, terrorists, misogynists and sexual predators. Such representations encouraged empathy for women and children, but fear towards men. Since 2015, 3.7 million Syrians have moved to Turkey. Studies show that 62.5% of survey participants believed refugees and asylum seekers were responsible for an increase in crime. However, this is not the case. Since the arrival of large numbers of Syrian refugees, court cases have dropped 1.6% and overall crime rates have fallen 8.1%. This proves that the majority of refugees and asylum seekers are peaceful and respectful. Fast forward to 2021, 2022, and the media has moved on from likening refugees and asylum seekers to criminals. Crime is still discussed, however, it is no longer a prominent reporting theme, as shown in 2015 to 2016. Only 6% of analysed articles reported concern relating to crime and public safety, whilst 2.2% ignited fear of terrorism and 0.6% mentioned sexual abuse. Number 4. Refugees or migrants. Confusion between the terms refugee, asylum seeker and migrant appear to be a recurring theme in media studies. First of all, let's revise the terms. A refugee is a person who has left their country to escape war, persecution or human rights violations. An asylum seeker is also someone who has left their home to escape war, persecution or human rights violations, but does not yet have refugee status. Their claim awaits approval from the government of the country in which they seek asylum. A migrant, on the other hand, has left their home country but not to escape war or persecution. Migrants may move to other countries for better jobs, education and other opportunities, or to live with family. According to the UNHCR, when refugees and asylum seekers are portrayed as migrants, this lessens the perceived need of resettlement and likens the move to an economic decision. This can create safety risks and legal implications for those fleeing war, persecution and/or human rights violations. According to our media analysis results, 28.8% of articles from 2021 to 2022 incorrectly labelled refugees and asylum seekers as migrants. 41.2% of the Sun's articles used the terms interchangeably, compared to 15.2% of BBC's articles. Interestingly, confusion between the terms rarely occurs in positive news relating to refugees and asylum seekers. The term migrant is mainly used in negative news relating to channel crossings, illegal immigrants, Rwanda and more. Number 5. Equality. We've already discussed how gender impacted the way refugees were represented in the media. Currently, single men are largely considered economic migrants and have been the focus of the government's Rwanda policy and detention camp plans. Legally, the government can send anyone, however, it is likely to affect young single men on a larger scale as they make up most UK channel crossing arrivals. Also, the Migration Observatory reports that only 7% of those in immigration detention facilities are female. The media analysis timeframe covers large numbers of refugees and asylum seekers fleeing Afghanistan after the Taliban takeover in August 2021 and Ukraine after the Russian invasion in February 2022. But have refugees from both countries received equal media coverage and government aid in the UK? The UK government created refugee programmes for people from both countries. However, not as many applications were accepted from Afghanistan. Over 100,000 Ukrainians have resettled in the UK, compared to only 11,000 Afghans. Regarding accommodation, thousands of Ukrainian refugees have been welcomed into the homes of the British public. The government has even offered £350 per month to hosts who house Ukrainian refugees. This welcoming attitude is amazing, but seems exclusive to refugees of Ukrainian nationality. Of the 11,000 Afghans resettled in the UK, 9,600 still live in hotels or other temporary accommodation facilities, which are widely reported to be unsuitable for families and long-term stays. In terms of coverage, the Ukrainian refugee crisis has received significantly more media attention than the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan. Refugees of undisclosed origin also received more media coverage than Afghans. Analysing the relationship between nationality and pro- or anti-refugee coverage shows that not all refugees are represented equally. Only 1% of articles relating to Ukrainians contained anti-refugee themes, compared to 27% of articles relating to Afghans. Afghans. Refugees and asylum seekers from Syria, Iran and other countries were represented more negatively than anything. 92% of articles relating to refugees of undisclosed origin contained some form of anti-refugee material. So there you have it, 5 issues surrounding asylum and refuge in the UK. Although the UK receives a high volume of asylum applications, the number of asylum seekers residing in the country is relatively low considering the UK's population size. Whilst it's true that the asylum programme costs a lot, asylum seekers don't actually receive that much money. Recent media reporting styles focus less on crime, however still confuse terms such as refugee and migrant, and promote inequality between refugees according to gender and nationality.